And post-COVID, the trend is still that people are moving out of the urban centres. But this massive suburban population is now very different to the one reflected in the white, middle-class casts of classic sitcoms like Terry and June, The Good Life or Keeping Up Appearances. I remember sensing that change in 1998 with the launch of the TV sketch show Goodness Gracious Me. Now familiar names like Sanjeev Bhaskar, Kulvinder Gier, Meera Syal and Nina Wadia were doing exactly what their comedic predecessors had done, mocking the pretensions of their suburban parent generation.
Hey, at last I get to meet the lovely Mrs. Kapoor.
Pronounced Cooper.
Cooper.
And this must be your wife, Veena?
Actually, I prefer to be called Vanessa.
It was a brilliant programme, and it was people that looked like me making jokes that I could get.
Rupa Huq has not only written a book about suburbia and the way it's reflected in popular culture, she is also MP for Ealing Central and Acton in West London.
Sitcom used to be 50 Shades of Beige, you know, those people, The Good Life, Jerry and Margot, all those kind of people, Terry and June, all those fictitious couples in their smug middle-class houses. As Morrissey would have said, it means nothing to me about my life, whereas Goodness Gracious Me was stuff I could totally identify with.
What a lovely home you have.
Oh, well, an Englishman's home is his castle, Dennis.
I know that.
We do appear to be in archetypal suburbia now. This beautiful, preserved environment, is it still popular?
Yeah, I think with families, the schools, the parks, the better quality of air that you have out here. You know, my parents, they did a kind of ever westward trajectory. They started off in Hans Place near Harrods, I think. My mum thought Harrods was the local corner shop and she was getting all her Indian spices from there until someone had to point out. They were in a bedsit in Hans Place, but then they ended up further out on the Piccadilly line, finished up in Park Royal was the station, my childhood station, that or Hanger Lane. And it's because for them, they didn't want Satanic Mills and that kind of thing. Dad came in 1963 originally, but he had this prehistory as a single man in the inner city.
The aspiration is you come here into the city, then you get out to the suburbs. That's not a sign of failure or a sign of disapproval in the immigrant community. Going to the suburbs is good.
You've made it if you've got a front and back garden and a porch and a double garage and those kind of things. And so I think Asian people are always a bit sneery about the inner city, whereas after I came back from uni and was living in Hanger Lane with my parents, my friends from Cambridge who'd landed up in jobs in London and were living in Clapham or wherever thought that this sort of net curtain, naff people, mock Tudor, they looked down on me. And I thought, I'm from London. I'm actually from here, unlike you northern oiks who've just landed here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to penetrate the snobbery there. It's really very, very difficult.